Today, we gather to confront a challenge that has haunted humanity for centuries: anxiety. In the modern world, where society moves at an ever-accelerating pace, where expectations rise to insurmountable heights, and where uncertainty permeates every decision we make, anxiety has become an unwelcome companion in our lives. We feel its grip in moments of doubt, in failures, and even in our successes, when we fear losing what we've gained. The great theologian and philosopher Paul Tillich delved deeply into the nature of anxiety. He did not view it merely as a fleeting discomfort or a psychological issue to be medicated away. Instead, he saw anxiety as an essential component of the human experience. Tillich taught that anxiety is not just an obstacle, it is a condition of our existence, and understanding it is the first step toward overcoming it. Today, let us explore his wisdom and discover how we can navigate and conquer anxiety in our own lives. The nature of anxiety: 3 forms. Tillich defines anxiety as the awareness of our finitude, the acknowledgement that we are vulnerable, limited, and ultimately destined to die. He identified 3 primary forms of anxiety that shape the human experience. Anxiety about fate and death. This is the most fundamental form of anxiety, arising from the knowledge that one day we will cease to exist. It is the fear of non-being, the terror of the thought of not existing. This anxiety can either plunge us into despair or propel us to live more deeply, more purposefully, and with greater appreciation for the fleeting nature of life. Anxiety about guilt and condemnation. This anxiety stems from our moral consciousness. It is the fear that we have failed, that we are not enough, that we have strayed from our true purpose. It is the dread of being judged, whether by society, by others, or by our own conscience. This form of anxiety drives us to seek redemption, to reconcile with our failures, and to strive toward moral clarity. Anxiety about meaninglessness and emptiness. This is existential anxiety, the deep-seated sense that life may lack purpose. In a world where traditional structures are crumbling, where religion, community, and shared values seem to weaken, many individuals feel lost, as if their existence is devoid of meaning. This form of anxiety calls us to search for meaning, to create purpose where it may not be immediately apparent, and to confront the abyss of emptiness with resilience. Understanding these forms of anxiety reveals that they are not mere personal afflictions, but are deeply rooted in the very condition of being human. The question then arises: how do we confront them? How do we master them, rather than be mastered by them? Confronting anxiety: Tillich's path to courage. Tillich does not offer simple solutions to anxiety. Instead, he proposes a way to confront it, a path of courage. He defines courage as the ability to affirm life in the face of anxiety. For Tillich, true courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. Let us explore key ways in which we can cultivate courage and confront anxiety in today's world. Embrace our finite nature. Many of us spend our lives running from the reality of death and suffering, but Tillich urges us to accept it. By embracing our finitude, we free ourselves from the fear of the inevitable. This does not mean we should live recklessly or in despair, but rather that we must acknowledge our limits and live fully within them. In today's society, obsessed with youth, perfection, and control, the truth is that none of these are eternal. Learning to make peace with our limitations allows us to focus on what truly matters: our relationships, our purpose, and our beliefs. Seek a higher concern. Tillich argues that anxiety thrives in an empty soul. Without a deeper meaning, we become vulnerable to despair. He suggests that each individual must have an ultimate concern, something greater than the self, something that gives life its meaning. In today's world, Many seek meaning in wealth, status, or pleasure, but these are fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. Instead, Tillich calls us to root ourselves in something eternal, whether that be faith, love, or the pursuit of truth. By dedicating ourselves to something greater than personal existence, we transcend the anxiety of meaninglessness, the power of faith and acceptance. For Tillich, faith is not blind belief in dogma, but the courage to trust in something greater than the self. He calls this the courage to be, the ability to affirm our existence despite uncertainty. This type of faith is not exclusively religious. It is a deep-seated trust that life, however difficult, is worth living. In a world where skepticism and doubt abound, faith enables us to endure, whether through spirituality, community, or self-belief. Faith provides the strength to face anxiety without being consumed by it. These principles are not simply philosophical musings. They are practical tools for living with purpose and resilience in the face of life's inevitable struggles. Tillich's path is not one of avoidance, but of embracing the fullness of human existence with courage, seeking meaning in the midst of chaos, and finding strength in faith and acceptance. Practical application in today's society. How can we apply Tillich's philosophy in the modern world? Embrace vulnerability. Rather than hiding our fears or pretending to be invincible, we must embrace our vulnerability. This acceptance allows us to build authentic relationships, where strength is found in community rather than isolation. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a source of connection and trust. By acknowledging our fragility, we form deeper, more meaningful bonds with those around us. Seek meaning beyond materialism. Society teaches us to derive value from achievements, wealth, and social status. But these are fleeting and ultimately hollow. Instead, we should seek meaning in creativity, in relationships, and in serving others. True fulfillment does not lie in possessions or accolades, but in our contributions to the lives of others and our pursuit of something greater than ourselves. Develop a spiritual practice. Whether through prayer, meditation, or contemplation, connecting to something beyond the self anchors us during moments of anxiety. A spiritual practice allows us to remain grounded in the midst of chaos, offering a steady source of strength that transcends the uncertainties of the material world. Cultivate resilience through action. Anxiety thrives in stagnation. By taking small, deliberate steps forward, even when faced with fear, we regain control over our lives. Resilience is born not from avoiding discomfort, but from confronting it, from taking action despite the uncertainty. Every step, however small, builds the momentum to move through life's challenges with grace. Tillich's philosophy reminds us that anxiety is an inevitable part of the human experience, but it does not have to control us. By accepting our finitude, exploring our ultimate concerns, and nurturing faith, we can develop the courage to face life with strength and purpose. Turning to the wisdom of Carl Gustav Jung. We now turn to the profound insights of Carl Gustav Jung, one of the greatest depth psychologists of the 20th century. Jung believed that anxiety is not merely a medical condition or a regrettable symptom to be erased. It is a message from the unconscious, a signal that something within us is out of balance, that we are not living in alignment with our deeper self. Anxiety is the voice of the shadow, those repressed aspects of the soul that demand integration. It is the cry of the soul, urging us to pay attention to parts of ourselves that we have neglected or denied. At its core, anxiety stems from disconnection from our true self, from others, and from a meaningful existence. Jung spoke extensively about the process of individuation, the journey to becoming our true self. This journey requires us to confront the shadow, to acknowledge our fears, insecurities, and unmet desires. When we suppress these aspects of ourselves, they manifest as anxiety. Social media, with its curated perfection and endless comparisons, exacerbates this disconnection. We lose touch with our authentic self and instead become fragmented, trying to live up to unrealistic standards that are not our own. The more we disconnect from our true essence in favor of external validation, the more anxiety consumes us, for it is only in embracing our whole self, both light and shadow, that we can find peace. The nature of anxiety, according to Jung viewed anxiety as the direct consequence of internal conflicts, the struggle between our true self and the person we think we should become. Modern society, particularly through social media, amplifies this internal battle by presenting a distorted mirror of reality. We compare ourselves to idealized versions of others, leading to feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and existential fear. Jung also emphasized the concept of the collective unconscious, a shared treasure trove of human experience and archetypes that shape our thoughts and behaviors. In this sense, anxiety is not just personal, but cultural. In today's society, where success is measured by external recognition, many face an existential crisis. We no longer know who we are outside of likes, followers, and digital approval. This artificial reality distances us from our true nature, heightening anxiety. Confronting anxiety, Jung's approach. Jung offers a roadmap to address anxiety, one that goes far deeper than superficial coping mechanisms. He calls upon us to look inward, to confront the shadow, and to realign with our authentic nature. Integrating the shadow, Jung taught that we must face our fears, not suppress them. Anxiety often arises when we deny our true desires, emotions, and instincts. By acknowledging and accepting these aspects of ourselves, we take the first step toward healing. Instead of pretending to be perfect online, we must embrace our flaws. Real growth does not come from avoidance, but from confrontation. Working with the shadow, as Jung called it, is a vital part of confronting anxiety. This involves reflecting on negative emotions, fears, and insecurities, bringing them into consciousness. Rather than letting them manifest as anxiety, we can understand their source and integrate them into our identity. This process may include journaling, psychological therapy, or deep self-exploration. Embrace solitude and reflection. Social media keeps us in a constant state of stimulation, leaving little room for introspection. Jung emphasized the importance of solitude, time away from the external noise to listen to our inner voice. Meditation, journaling, or simply being alone with our thoughts can help reconnect with our deeper self. In silence, we hear the whispers of the unconscious, guiding us toward wholeness. Consider the impact of stillness in a world obsessed with connectivity. The more we immerse ourselves in the digital world, the further we drift from harmony with our true selves. In embracing the shadow and finding peace in solitude, we regain the ability to confront anxiety with clarity and strength. Anxiety, for Jung, is not something to be eradicated, but a signal that calls us to return to ourselves, to integrate the fragmented parts of our being and reclaim our authentic existence. Jung's philosophy reminds us that anxiety is not an enemy, but a guide. It reveals the fractures within us, urging us to embark on the journey of individuation. In a world dominated by digital illusions, the greatest rebellion is self-awareness. Social media may fuel our anxiety, but it does not define us. We are not merely our online presence. We are souls yearning for depth, meaning, and genuine connection. So, step away from the screen, confront your shadow, and embrace the journey towards wholeness. Reclaim your true self in a world that seeks to turn us into something else. By doing so, We transform anxiety from a burden into a beacon, guiding us back to the person we were always meant to be. We are pioneers,